Hi, Shruti at home. I'm just checking that you can hear me. We are, I believe, live, and I believe we may also have sound. I have not heard.
So who's missing also?
Yeah.
Oh, I see a body. Thanks, Alicia.
We haven't heard from Ralston?
No.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Oh, Ralston, hi.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry, you were just past the window in my window. You know what I mean? Couldn't see your face.
Okay.
Now, Chair Luloff? We are. We have Ralston on virtually this evening.
Is all good? Ready?
Yep.
Guys ready? Hello, everyone. Bonjour à tous. We can call the meeting to order. My name is Matt Luloff. I'm the chair, the president of CA. Welcome to the OPL board meeting. Bienvenue à la réunion de CA de la BPO. Kwekakina. It is important to acknowledge that we are gathered on the unceded and ancestral territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin people. Many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people now live, work, and study on this territory. Nous rendons hommage à toutes les Premières Nations, aux Inuits et aux Métis, leurs aînés, leurs ancêtres, en reconnaissant leur importante contribution passée et présente. The OPL is committed to building relationships with Anishinaabe Algonquin communities, enriching OPL collections with Anishinaabe Algonquin content, respecting and including their voices, reflecting Indigenous culture and perspectives in our programs and spaces, supporting the host nation's culture, and implementing Indigenous reconciliation for the benefit of all Ottawans. I'll now proceed with a roll call in random order. Once your name is called, please say present. We have two regrets, deux absents ce soir, Trustee Brown and Trustee Smith. So carrying on with the rest, Trustee Catherine Kitts.
Here.
Trustee Allison Crawford.
Here.
Probably the wisest of us all, not out there in this snowstorm, Trustee King.
Here.
Trustee Bradley.
Here.
Trustee Slack.
Je suis présente.
Fantastic. And Madame Vice-Président, Kathy Fisher.
Présente.
Fantastic. We good to go, Alex? Everything's functioning properly?
Everything's functioning, but I think we have some double sound issues. So I'm just going to remind everyone to ensure that the microphones on their laptops are off. I see you all diligently looking down. Thank you.
Can't hear it in the room, but
Being heard twice is better than not being heard at all.
some may disagree.
Arguable.
Has that been sorted out? You get an indication from our friends online?
Waiting 1 sec for them to
Yep,
confirm.
no problem.
Not in the room, it's just online, so I'm
Just
just
online.
waiting for them to write me back.
Is the Reverend reporting back to us?
No, the Venerable, no, she is not.
The Venerable is not? Okay.
Okay, confirmation seems to be good.
Okay, thank you very much to our anonymous participant online for helping us sort that out. We appreciate you very much. Do we have any declarations of interest, déclaration d'intérêt? Any of these items? Wonderful. Confirmations of minutes, adoption des procès-verbaux. Item 6.1, minutes 28, Tuesday, the 2nd of December 2025, which seems like a lifetime ago, doesn't it? Item 6.2, confidential minutes 13, Tuesday, the 2nd of December 2025. Are these minutes confirmed?
Confirmed.
Wonderful. Communications. I'll mention this just in a moment because before we move to the verbal updates and the CEO and the Chief Librarian's report, let's review the rest of the agenda because there have been 2 items of correspondence. Noting that items 10.2, 10.5, and 10.6 are held for presentation, I propose, in the interest of given how packed this agenda is, that we approve and carry items 10.1, 10.3, and 10.4. And that we receive 10.7. So I'll give the board just a moment to take a look at those items. While I note that we did receive 2 items of correspondence that have been shared with board members in support of item 10.4 and the branch at Hunt Club. We did one of those correspondences was from Councillor Riley Brockington, who's quite pleased with the report and asked respectfully that asked me to encourage the board to support them. Yep, sure. For the ones that we'd like to carry on consent are items 10.1, 10.3, 10.4, and that we receive item 10.7. Are there any objections? Or any brief questions that anybody wants to ask at this point on those? Seeing none? Okay, are these items received and carried?
Received and carried.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we'll move on to the in-camera items. Item 11.1 is a labor relations update. The confidential labor relations update was circulated to the board on February 4th. If the board if there are no concerns, the board can receive this item without having to move into a closed session. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask on that particular item? Confidential memo is fine. Okay, is this item received? Okay, thank you. But we will hold item 11.2 to move in camera later this evening for that item, if that's all right. It would just mean that in camera item that in camera session will be half as long, which we're grateful for. I will note that we have 6 information previously distributed items. As a reminder, if you wish to hold one of those, a motion's required. Does anybody wish to hold one of those IPDs, or are we okay? Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, let's proceed to the verbal updates and the CEO CL's report. Just a reminder that during these items, staff will be sharing a bilingual PowerPoint presentation on screen. I think Sam's got it up. Thank you. Wonderful. Well, it's the best time of the year again, Freedom to Read Week, La Semaine de la Liberté d'Expression. From February 22nd to 28th, we invite you to join us in marking Freedom to Read Week, an annual cross-country initiative that encourages us to think about and reaffirm our commitment to intellectual freedom. This year, we have 2 fantastic speakers lined up to engage with Ottawans on this critical topic. So please take note, on Tuesday, February 24th, Sébastien Piros will discuss in French free expression from his unique perspective as both an author and a journalist. Journaliste au journal Le Droit, Sébastien Piros partagera ses réflexions autour de la censure et de la liberté d'expression. Now, the following evening, on Wednesday, February 25th, and I encourage all members of the board to join in this discussion, is author and Professor Randy Boyagoda. He'll discuss the current state of civil discourse, if it can be called civil, and the vital role intellectual freedom and public libraries play in fostering shared inquiry, constructive disagreement, and the pursuit of truth. Please join us for either or both of these exciting events, and both will be wonderful, and I encourage the board to sign up and join. Next slide, please. A little bit of a recap. I think that people are starting to notice, especially those that are renewing their library card. I think that there's been quite a bit of interest in some swapping out, but we have launched our new brand, Retour sur le lancement de notre image de marque. On January 27th, we publicly launched our new brand. The community was invited to celebrate with us and to connect with curiosity while we highlighted OPL's ongoing commitment to literacy, creativity, and belonging. Clients who joined us on launch day were greeted with delicious donuts and tote bags featuring the new visual identity, with some clients lining up before the opening to ensure that they got in on the fun. And when clients register for a library card, they can select one of 3 fresh designs, giving residents a fun and tangible way to enjoy our new look and to engage with the library. Very interested to learn which one is the most popular at a future meeting. Yeah. And what we think that might say about you, which one you pick. Over the coming months, the new brand will appear across OPL's digital channels at various service points and on transit and billboards throughout Ottawa. And while much of the brand is in what you see, the logo with a woven O symbolizing OPL as a third space that strengthens social fabric and fosters connections across Ottawa, the brand is really about the experience when connecting with the library. We want each visit to feel welcoming, helpful, and full of curiosity. To our staff who spark conversations and create welcoming moments every day, thank you. I encourage all Ottawa residents to visit their local branch, experience the new look, and connect with curiosity. Un immense merci à toutes celles et à tous ceux qui ont contribué au succès de le lancement de notre image de marque. Very exciting, an événement de nomination commémorative à la succursale Alta Vista, commemorative naming event at Alta Vista branch. Last fall, the board approved naming the program room at the Alta Vista branch the Alan Higdon Room in recognition of Alan's outstanding contribution in the civic life of Ottawa. L'événement pour dévoiler la plaque à la succursale d'Alta Vista aura lieu le lundi 2 mars à 14 heures. The dedication event to unveil the plaque at Alta Vista branch will take place on Monday, March 2nd at 2 p.m. I encourage all board members to join us for this event and keep your eyes peeled later this spring for information about our next commemorative naming celebration at the Beaverbrook branch for Joan Dodsworth Ware, Canada's first librarian. Thank you very much, and over to the CEO, Chief Librarian, for her report.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Bonne soirée tout le monde. Je vais commencer avec une mise à jour de développement de fonds. I will begin with a fund development update. This evening, I am delighted to announce another contribution to our fund development efforts. At the end of 2025, Crabtree Foundation continued their support of the Unlock Potential campaign for the new Ottawa Central Library at Atisoke by generously donating $500,000. This is Crabtree Foundation's third gift, and their cumulative contribution now totals $1 million. Bravo. This recent gift will help bridge the digital divide and expand access to essential technology resources at the Central Branch at Atisoke. It will directly benefit individuals and families who face barriers to digital inclusion. As context, studies have shown that 61% of technology users in Ontario public libraries report that the public library is their only access to digital technology. Using workstations, laptops, and other technologies at the library improved social and community engagement, helps connect with friends and family, learn about current events, complete forms and applications, and so much more. We are incredibly grateful for Crabtree Foundation's continued support and belief in the future of our library and their commitment to digital inclusion with this meaningful gift. Next slide, please. Black History Month programming. On February 5th, 85 people joined us for author Andre Alexis in conversation with Jamal Amir Akbari as part of OPL's Black History Month programming. Nous avons accueilli l'auteur Andre Alexis le 5 février pour une conversation avec Jamal Amir Akbari dans le cadre des activités au mois de l'histoire des Noirs à la BPO. Jamal and Andre discussed Andre's book, 15 Dogs, and his latest short story collection, Other Worlds. Andre talked about his relationship with Ottawa and how it has changed over the years. Jamal started the conversation with a rapid-fire either-or, in which he said 2 words, and Andre had to choose one. For example, water or blood, philosophy or science, night or day. It was an engaging start to what was a very thoughtful interview. So thank you to everyone who attended. Next slide, please. Le Salon du Livre, the Book Fair. Le Salon du Livre de l'Outaouais se déroule le 19 au 22 février au Palais des Congrès de Gatineau. Pour la première fois cette année, la BPO offre un 2 pour 1 pour les billets aux clients et clientes de la BPO. Vous n'avez qu'à vous présenter votre carte d'abonné valide à la billetterie du salon pour profiter de ce rabais. Et n'oubliez pas de passer nous voir à notre kiosque. Nous aurons des activités pour vos petits et vos grands. And don't forget to stop by our booth. We will have activities for both your little ones and your older children. Next slide, please. And just a reminder, we will be closed on Family Day, la fermeture pour la fête de la famille. As a reminder, all OPL locations will be closed Monday, February 16th, as we celebrate the importance of family, family life, chosen families, and my favorite, family game nights. La BPO sera fermée le lundi 16 février pour souligner l'importance des familles et la vie familiale. You can always visit us online for access to ebooks, streaming services, recommended reading lists, and more. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. This concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Madam CEO. That 15 Dogs is such an excellent book. I think it won CBC Canada Reads, I think, a few years ago.
It did indeed. 10 years, I think, since it's been published, and a couple of other awards in addition to that.
It is a book that I absolutely could not put down, and I'm not ashamed to say that I neglected other things that I should have been doing because I read it in one sitting. It was just so good. So please check it out. It's quite unique. We'll now move on to our held items, starting with item 10.2, Alexander Yarrow's absolutely favorite topic, the mobile framework. So I'll now turn things over to Sonia for opening remarks, and then to Myra Skoronsky, our division manager of branch services, and Alex Yarrow, who's so excited to talk about this. She put a lot of work into it with her colleagues. She's our program manager for board and strategic services for the presentation. I'm not exaggerating. She's actually wearing a pin to show her love for mobile libraries.
Hard on sleeve.
That's right. I'll also note that Katie Carr, our research director, and Saad Usmani, a data and communications analyst, both from the Ottawa Neighborhood Study, are with us on Zoom this evening as well to assist in responding to questions. Our practice is changing slightly starting today, and staff may require a few more minutes just to get us started here. So for those of us joining in the Champlain room, the screens in the room will now show separate English and French presentations. For those watching at home or participating online, our colleagues in City IT will be sharing and advancing the slides for you. and you'll be viewing the English presentation. Si vous souhaitez obtenir une copie de la présentation en français, veuillez, s'il vous plaît, contacter le personnel de la bibliothèque.
In fact, all the PowerPoints loaded faster than I've ever seen them load, so 10 million points for everybody. Bonsoir, Président Luloff, membres du Conseil, Sonia et chers collègues. Myra and I are here this evening to outline key elements of the mobile framework as the chair outlined, document 1, and the context for this work. This presentation will focus on the framework itself, and I'll note that the report at hand also seeks board approval of proposed revisions to the delegation of authority policy, included as documents 2 and 3, as well as direction from the board to align operations with the mobile framework as outlined in the report. Prochaine diapo. Next slide, please. It's going to change in 8 different places now. Over the next few slides, Myra and I will outline mobile services at OPL, key changes to services over the last decade or so, and important context within our city and the library sector. Next slide. Magnifique. The mobile channel refers to the way OPL delivers services regularly and in person at locations outside of library branches, extending our reach via flexible and reliable service model supported by a diverse fleet of vehicles. Mobile services operate at the neighborhood level, such as bookmobile services, and at the individual level, such as home services. In line with the commitments identified in the service strategies, mobile services primarily provide access to the collections and expertise categories. Clients can get books, movies, and more, and talk to staff for help with ebooks and reading recommendations and everything in between. Those are just some of the many examples, of course, of our offerings in those areas. Clients visiting a bookmobile may also have limited access to spaces, programs, and tools when feasible. For example, the bookmobile doesn't offer a weekly story time like your branch would, but may do informal programming like a read-along or a mini kind of pop-up story time on board a large bookmobile, and may collaborate with branch staff on a story time at a community center at the same time as the bookmobile stop occurring there. The framework establishes the principles and criteria that guide decisions about where, when, and how mobile services are delivered, and ensures that decisions align with the strategic plan, the service delivery framework, and supporting documents. It also considers local context, including the City of Ottawa official plan, demographic trends, and community feedback to inform service planning. Next slide, thank you. Prochaine diapo. As outlined in the report, a few changes to strategic elements of mobile services have been made over the last decade or so, including a move to base stop locations on specific demographic criteria in 2014, the approval of the Alternative Services Delivery Framework in 2015, and the 2018 priorities. Autres rapports et documents stratégiques ont également abordé les services mobiles, notamment le cadre de prestations de services et les stratégies de services qui ont permis aux clients de bien comprendre les services auxquels ils peuvent s'attendre à chaque canal. Pictured here is OPL's first bookmobile in 1953. I'm now going to hand things over to Myra to talk a bit more about the current state of mobile services. Prochaine diapo, next slide.
Thank you, Alex. The bookmobile and home service departments are part of Branch Service Division, and the team consists of 14 full-time equivalents and a fleet of 6 vehicles. Let's start with bookmobile services. Bookmobile services has long and storied history at OPL. It even played a role in the resignation of one of our former chief librarians. And if you're curious about the full story, it's wonderfully captured in Phil Jenkins' book. The service celebrated its 70th anniversary a few years ago and consistently provides access to library resources for many residents who face multiple, often intersecting barriers to accessing OPL via other service channels. We run 22 stops each week, and those stops can be as short as 30 minutes or as long as 5 hours. And the 2 5-hour stops are Rideau View and Farley Moment, which are very well attended. Altogether, we serve over 600 active clients. The bus, as we call it, is especially valued by young families and older adults who really appreciate the broad collections, convenient stop times, and of course, staff expertise. The mobile framework recommends changing from a weekly to a 2-week stop schedule with standardized stop lengths. Together, these elements will allow more neighborhoods to be served, provide greater flexibility in scheduling to reflect resident feedback on preferred timing, and create capacity for participation in special events and visits to community groups. In recent years, we have visited neighborhood picnics, family shelters, and other community locations. A quick note on demographics. We consider them when building our schedule. For instance, afternoon stops are generally between 2 and 5 p.m., and evening between 6 and 8 p.m. These are prioritized for neighborhoods with adults and families with children. Morning stops are usually between 10 a.m. and noon and are better suited to neighborhoods with older adults, congregate living sites, or when we're doing targeted visits or special events with our community agencies. If you look at the slide, the comment is from a teen at our Carlington stop. And the photo you see is from a picnic in the summer, showcasing the 3D printer from the Imagine space and what it can produce. Prochain diapo, s'il vous plaît. Next slide, please. We promised maps, and I bring you maps. This represents our current stop schedule. The colors are just to differentiate, except for the black, which represent our pause stops. You can see relatively even distribution around the city, noting that branches are not included here, and that's to reduce visual clutter. And some of our Western rural branches would be outside the left border here. Sorry about that, Fitzroy Harbor. Next slide, please. Home services also has a long history at OPL, as I am reminded that 1971 is more than 50 years ago. During this time, a dedicated team at OPL provided this complex and highly personalized service, selecting and delivering material to over 500 individual clients on a monthly basis. Together with Bookmobile, mobile services reach close to 1,200 clients every single month, from Cumberland to Carp. Home service clients are generally over the age of 80, with varying levels of social connectivity and digital literacy. Currently, it's about a 50-50 split of folks who live in congregate living and those in private residences. Some have little support other than from OPL in an average month. And OPL helps them age in place while staying creatively and mentally engaged and connected to their community. Every year, the homebound services client base increased by a net between 20 and 50 clients. And this is Alexandra's all-time favorite quote related to home services up on the slide. You'll also notice in the photo, if you look carefully, a photo of OPL's first homebound van. And yes, we did launch home services in collaboration with the Imperial Order Daughters of the Empire back in 1971. And I hope you're taking notes because there's a history test to follow. Next slide, please. And here, a final map illustrating the clients we currently serve through homebound services. You'll see it goes from east to west or west to south and in between. But you'll see it's congregated and that we have outliers, so we are getting out into the community. I'll hand it over to Alexandra now. Next slide, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Myra. We'll just wait while everybody catches up here. Okay, so the framework before you tonight outlines the broader context for mobile services within the library sector, sharing some key data from North American public libraries, pointing to expansion of these services through additional resources or through partnerships, as well as a mix of vehicle types and some consistent criteria for service emerging. It also highlights some citywide considerations, including feedback from community partners and demographic data, the importance of 15-minute neighborhoods, growth in different areas of the city, increasing diversity, including young families arriving via immigration, and an aging population. Given this context, the framework proposes 3 guiding principles up here on screen. First, access. Mobile services help us reach people where they are, across neighborhoods all over the city. By bringing collections directly into communities, we reduce barriers and make it easier for people to use the library. We choose our sites and schedules by using data, listening to community feedback, and ensuring geographic coverage. Second, connection. Mobile services strengthen our ties with branches, with city partners, and with community organizations. By offering dependable service at times and locations that work for residents, as Myra alluded to earlier, we help people connect with each other, feel included, and benefit from the broader supports around them. Third, adaptability. These services allow us to respond quickly as communities change. We pay close attention to demographic shifts, sector trends, and the feedback we gather so that our services continue to evolve and meet the needs of Ottawa's diverse residents now and into the future. Voici 2 de mes images préférées de la présentation de ce soir. Il y a beaucoup qui sont bonnes. À droite, vous verrez Frank Grant, client de longue date des services à domicile et lecteur assidu. J'apprécie particulièrement la symétrie ici dans les 2 images qui montrent que la lecture est toujours au cœur de ce que nous faisons. Prochaine diapo, next slide, please. Frank was 100 when that picture was taken, just pointing that out. Et encore une fois, we're going to move into the standards and decision criteria next. So I'm going to let you click through to the very next slide, service standards with a little table. Sam's remote died. Okay. Are you too far from the mothership? Okay. Et encore une fois. Thank you. Amazing. Les stratégies de service de cadre décisionnel sur la prestation des services incluaient des engagements concernant les services que les clients peuvent attendre de chaque canal. Les engagements relatifs au canal mobile portaient sur l'accès aux collections et à l'expertise, conformément au cadre décisionnel sur la prestation des services mobiles présenté ce soir. Proposed service standards for the mobile channel on screen here, just a small mouthful, outline the mechanisms, capacity, frequency, reliability, and service categories that clients can expect when using this channel. As the channel relies on a fleet to deliver services, capacity is described per vehicle unit. More on the fleet coming up soon. Per the table you see here, neighborhood services provided via bookmobiles give clients access to a broad and robust collection of materials to browse and borrow, as well as access to their holds. It also provides space to gather and interact with your neighbors and to receive assistance from OPL employees. Stops are every 2 weeks for 2 hours on a year-round set schedule. As Myra noted earlier, moving to 2 weeks with standardized stop lengths will mean that we can serve more neighborhoods at the times they want. We know that after school and evening time slots are desirable for many. Home services are twofold. They provide support and reading recommendations from staff and delivery directly to clients. Home services prioritize client independence, helping Ottawans age in place, and are tailored to each client's needs and circumstances. Mechanisms include door-to-door individual delivery in collaboration with other services such as congregate living staff or a bookmobile unit, and the possibility of delivery by mail or courier. Next slide, prochaine diapo. It's the image you've all been waiting for. The mobile services fleet currently includes the truly beautiful vehicles pictured here and includes a variety of sizes and specifics. A diverse fleet helps us adapt to changing needs. Specific vehicles may be appropriate for different contexts or different communities. For example, a large vehicle is the priority for neighborhood services when possible, so that people have enough space to browse and connect with staff and their neighbors. A mini bookmobile or a smaller delivery vehicle might be suitable for a congregate living facility for older adults. Vehicles are, of course, affected by mechanical and weather conditions. Tonight is definitely a reminder of those constraints. As part of implementation, we will continue to prioritize service continuity, and in instances when the typical vehicle is unavailable, we will deploy an alternative vehicle whenever possible to maintain some level of service. Relying on our fleet also means we have some specific considerations when scheduling neighborhood bookmobile stops. Size matters. Well, while we prioritize the largest vehicle, in some instances, we have to use smaller vehicles for a regular stop due to specifics. So, for example, a high-scoring neighborhood where the sole potential location can only accommodate a smaller vehicle. Geography also matters. The schedule balances services across the city in a week and a 2-week cycle, ensuring that, for example, adjacent neighborhoods receive service in alternate weeks and facilitating continuity of coverage over larger areas of the city. So, for example, the current weekly schedule already considers this balance. We do Lincoln Heights and Van Lang on Wednesdays, but nearby Bayshore on a Monday. So some are combined, some are separate. We're trying to balance that out, right? That way, if we cancel one route due to resource challenges, there's a chance that if the issue is resolved, we can serve the relatively close other stop or other route later, and maybe some clients can make that trip over. Lastly, time and fuel matter too. So some nearby neighborhoods are scheduled consecutively. Again, Van Lang and Lincoln Heights is a good example of that, to improve efficiency and reduce driving time. Next slide, prochaine diapo, please. For bookmobile stops in all neighborhoods, OPL's approach is to use data to guide where services should be offered. The principles used in developing the decision criteria align with those in the facilities framework with some modifications and with OPL's community development approach. As in the facilities framework, prioritization scores will be developed to rank neighborhoods using data from the Ottawa Neighborhood Study, ONS, and the Neighborhood Equity Index, NEI. 90% of the bookmobile schedule is allocated to urban neighborhoods to align with the approximate population of Ottawa that lives in those areas. Criteria here focus on neighborhoods where we can meaningfully improve access, considering both levels of need and proximity to existing branches. As a reminder, when we say urban here, we are including suburban neighborhoods as well in alignment with the terminology that ONS uses. So the first criteria here, equity, prioritizes residents with equity needs in areas that align with OPL's core services, notably children who are vulnerable in one or more areas of development and neighborhoods with lower educational and employment levels. These are dimensions that OPL, a literacy-focused organization, can meaningfully influence through our services. The equity scores for neighborhoods will be given primary weighting of 3, meaning that the score is multiplied by 3 to get the weighted score for equity. In an effort to further reduce barriers accessing OPL services, the next criterion, distance, prioritizes neighborhoods where the average walking distance for most residents is 2 kilometers or more. This is one of the areas in which the mobile framework differs from the facilities framework, which considers driving distance. We know from bookmobile clients telling us, and from staff telling us, and from postal code data for active clients of the service, that most walk, and they walk 2 kilometers or less to get to us. Neighborhoods with an average walking distance of 2 kilometers from an existing branch will be given a distance score of 0. For neighborhoods with an average walking distance above 2 kilometers, to calculate how much this distance exceeds the baseline, 2 kilometers will be subtracted from the average distance. The distance score will be given a weight of 2, meaning that after subtracting 2 from the average distance, the remainder will be multiplied by 2 to get the weighted score. I know that was quite a mouthful of 2s, so I'm going to show you an example in a moment. Both equity and distance scores will then be combined into a prioritization score and used to rank neighborhoods from highest to lowest priority. Neighborhoods will then be assessed for the third criterion, which is the site. A potential neighborhood must have a site with good access for clients, including those arriving on foot, by bike, by transit, by car, and including those with accessibility considerations. Sites need to be on public property and provide good parking for our fleet in all seasons. Most importantly, they must have a partner who's willing to enter into a signed agreement with OPL. The agreement includes commitments to providing safe access for staff and for clients, access to resources such as washrooms and power sources. This agreement is critical to our success, and most places where we have experienced challenges over the past few years have been where we do not have a reliable partner or even a partner who's willing to sign with us. Prochaine diapo. Next slide, please. Ce tableau sert simplement à illustrer les critères en action avec 3 quartiers avec des noms créatifs. I really worked hard on the catchy names qui ne sont pas réels, not real neighborhoods. So this just illustrates the urban criteria at work with some completely random calculations. As a reminder, when we say NEI here, we mean the index used to measure inequity in a neighborhood. Higher means more inequitable distribution. Distance excess means kilometers exceeding the average baseline of 2 kilometers walking. So you see here, neighborhood A, catchy name with the highest equity score, comes out with the highest total score, followed by neighborhood B, which has significant equity but no distance barrier, and then lastly, neighborhood C, which has lower equity but higher distance. This is an example to illustrate a key difference between the mobile framework and the facilities framework. The mobile framework doesn't use a gateway criteria. All neighborhoods are assessed and ranked by their total score for consideration. Prochaine diapo, next slide, please. Moving on, these are the criteria for rural neighborhoods. I'm sure you're relieved to see that they're a little bit simpler. As a reminder, the current rural population is approximately 9.5% of the city's total population, and approximately 10% of neighborhood services schedule will be allocated to rural neighborhoods. The criteria are firstly distance. In this case, we're using driving. Feedback from our current clients indicates that many do drive to the stop, aligning with general trends and data that in rural neighborhoods, it is common to drive to access services and to run errands. Secondly, site criteria remain critical here and are the same as previously described. Prochaine diapo, next slide. Just the home services. Good, fantastic. All Ottawa residents are eligible for home services if they're confined to their home for 3 months or more due to illness or disability. To sign on, clients complete an intake process and agree to the terms of service. OPL does not require supporting documentation regarding illness or disability. In contrast to the facilities channel and in contrast to the bookmobile, home services clients access expertise primarily by phone or email. Only Arsh, our driver, has met some of our most dedicated clients face-to-face. Néanmoins, nous encourageons les clients à visiter leur succursale locale lorsqu'ils peuvent. Ce lien favorise l'inclusion sociale. Branch visits are generally the exception, however, rather than the rule. Should a client's support or housing circumstances change and they're no longer confined to their home or any other aspect of their circumstances at intake change, they generally inform staff, as they should. After intake, the following criteria are used to determine which mechanism will be used to provide home services. So we consider 3 things you'll see up there: neighborhood and housing. So for urban clients in private homes, their own house, their condo, and apartment, generally it's door-to-door delivery. If they're in congregate living, it may be delivery in collaboration with facility staff or via a bookmobile unit. This will be a new aspect of service and will allow us to focus our resources on the most isolated residents and rely on support from our colleagues in other locations. Clients in rural neighborhoods in all types of housing situations will receive delivery in collaboration with a partner, such as facility staff, or through a bookmobile unit, or by mail. Again, some new elements to the service. We also consider clients' needs and interests. So again, if clients want to select their own material, they're supported in continuing to do this. If they want assistance from us, we build a profile of their interests and likes, and then use that to select items on their behalf. We also look at the supports available to the client. So generally, home services clients live alone without regular support from family, friends, or community services and are unable to access the library through other channels. We may work with others supporting a client if that is the case to facilitate delivery of their material. Prochaine diapo, next slide. Actually, 2. I lied. Monitoring and evaluation. I confused everyone now. Monitoring and evaluation. There we go. Just waiting for the in-person PowerPoint to catch up with us. No pressure, Sam. Okay. The mobile framework is intended to guide strategic decisions regarding the mobile channel and to inform short and medium-term decision-making. Staff will review the framework once per term in alignment with board policy. We will also monitor and evaluate services on an annual basis to review operations and ensure alignment with the framework, and we might change timing, fleet, or locations, both for homebound or bookmobile, and when new information is available. So a new set of NEI data, information about a new branch of OPL, changes to partnerships, changes to the legislative environment, or changes to the strat plan, all examples of new information. Changes based on new info may include timing, fleet, or locations, as well as additional neighborhood services and/or decommissioning neighborhood services. Prochaine diapo, next slide, please. The framework will guide operational changes that will be implemented over the next 2 years. Neighborhoods will be assessed by the criteria, resulting in a prioritization list, which will be used to initiate preliminary analysis of potential stop locations, including exploring partnership opportunities. This list will be shared with the board for information by the end of this year and subsequently used to generate a new stop schedule. I want to underline that implementation isn't simply a bookmobile schedule change, although we talk a lot about that. It's a system change across mobile services as a whole. So some of the items that are required as part of implementation are sequenced. One can't start until the other finishes, and many rely on external or internal partners. The draft schedule, as it's developed this year, and in the first half of 2027, will focus on finalizing stop timing and locations. Timing will be determined based on demographics, historical data that's available, and feedback collected by employees through our community development approach. Stop times will be discussed with interest holders, including ward councillors and residents prior to finalization. In addition to neighborhood stops, opportunities for congregate living facilities and transition plans for current clients at these locations will be developed. Lastly, admin changes such as the intake process for home services, tech changes to the client database, staff scheduling will be planned and executed. A new schedule could launch in the fall of 2027 or the spring of 2028. I'm sure you can imagine why we would avoid a winter stop change. The timing of the opening of the central branch will also affect plans, as the implementation of the framework relies on collaboration with so many departments at OPL. A robust communications plan will be developed, including connection points with the board for status updates, interest holders, and residents. And a closeout report will come back to the board for information. The latest this could happen is by Q4 2028. Merci. Prochaine diapo. Next slide. Home stretch. All right. Thank you for your thoughtful attention to mobile services both this evening and in reviewing the documentation in advance to prepare for this discussion. I want to take a quick moment to acknowledge the support of the former ad hoc committee on this topic and the current governance committee. This work also involved key collaboration with our colleagues at the Ottawa Neighbourhood Study, who I think have dropped off this call, perhaps, but they were some of the most thoughtful and conscientious partners I've ever worked with. Mark's team, including staff at all levels, just Mark tonight, helped keep us connected to the realities of providing this complex and valued service. I want to acknowledge that he and his leadership team were invaluable. Lastly, our city colleagues and other community partners gave us important context about our changing city, its residents, and their evolving needs. Merci encore. We're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Myra, and thank you, Mark, and your team for all of the work that's gone into this. If members have any questions, we are open to answering them.
Sure.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask a question with regards to reliability. You make a reference that with, especially on the mobile service, the mobile services, that you're looking at a 95% reliability factor. Is that as a result of the changes to the timing, changes to the frequency, and can you confirm that? And what is our baseline now? What is our level of reliability now? Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll start and maybe I'll let Myra chime in when she's ready. So we have made some adjustments in the last few years to improve the reliability score. So building better partner relationships, ensuring that our fleet is flexible. So making sure that we redeploy whatever vehicle is available on a given day has really helped. And going back to the partnerships piece, being able to work with someone who can provide us with indoor space. So if we're sending a smaller vehicle and it's a day like today, the indoor space is really key for us. So having those good relationships where we can say to somebody, you know, we need to come inside today to set up. Is that okay? That has made a huge difference. Do you want to build on that?
Yeah, I will add, back in 2023, when I first started here, I think we were at 90 and a bit reliability rate. We reviewed our services and practices and are now up to 98. 98.5, 98.7. I think we have to build in a bit of a cushion there if we are moving to more sites on a 2-week schedule. Always weather, partnerships, So we just want to be realistic with that number, that 95. It could be 96. We will always be evaluating that and seeing if it goes up, if it goes down, and looking at our services to make sure that we're hitting that reliability as much as we can.
Thank you.
I'll just add, if I could, in terms of the home services, you'll see that the reliability is marked as NA. It's just because that's an individual service and the deliveries are easy to reschedule. So the service fulfillment remains 100%.
Thank you. Do you mind going back to the slide with the map on it?
No pressure. I'll rely on my colleagues. Yeah.
Sorry.
Which map?
The map of the locations.
Bookmobile stops?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which may prompt another question because I just wanted to look at it again. But on the subject of maps.
That's home services.
Yeah, not sorry, the bookmobile stuff. But on the subject of maps, I really like that we have a map. And I'm hoping that when you bring the update later this year, if we could have another map that shows the change, because I think that that would be helpful. So I just wanted to put that there. Okay, and it does, I mean, this is more of a looking ahead conversation. So, but I did want to understand, like, there's none really in the suburban east, and I found that to be sort of a gap in the map. So I was wondering if you could sort of shed light as to why our current framework, I guess, didn't allow for that.
So the current stops in many cases are pre-amalgamation, so about 60% of them predate amalgamation, and the ones in the urban east were inherited from the Cumberland Township Bookmobile. So there was Navan, Vars, Sarsfield, and Navan.
Cumberland.
You don't
have a stop in Cumberland.
Navan.
Carlsbad Springs.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so those four. You're thinking of further south, or am I missing further south or further east?
Just like if you're looking at the map, there's nothing in that suburban east. So, and then the other suburbs seem to have some sprinkled through. So I was just wondering sort of why that was a gap.
I'm not sure what the history of those would be.
Legacy,
I'd have to dive deep, but they are really legacy. All of those predate amalgamation.
Okay.
Yeah, and predate any analysis of demographics in those areas.
Okay, thank you.
Just briefly before I turn it over to Trustee Bradley, I mean, in using the two metrics that, it's a comment, not a question, but in using the two metrics that we've chosen to use, it creates a bit of a center of gravity. And just to consider that by using these two metrics only, that it may create regional inequities in a very large city. Councillor Bradley.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for the presentation. No question, just a comment. Just I know how much care went into this report, and having been part of the mobile framework group and now the chair of the governance committee, I just wanted to say thank you for all the work that you've done, and looking forward to seeing how this goes. But unfortunately, my community in Boston Park has had their stop paused for many moons now. But I know how well used the bookmobile and homebound services are. So just thank you for all the work you've done.
Trustee Crawford.
Thank you, Chair. One question I had was about partners. Can you tell us a little bit more about the partners, or is that something you can share right now?
Can you be more specific?
Yeah, like, are we talking about sort of senior residences primarily, or?
So our current partners are primarily recreation facilities, so city-owned facilities. Sometimes we partner with OCH, so Strathcona Bookmobile Stop in the bottom end of Sandy Hill, for example, we're parked at an OCH building. Failing those great relationships, we often rely on private partners in the past. So in the past, we've partnered with strip malls, or we've partnered with schools, and those have been locations that are quite difficult because as the development areas in the city change, a school closes, a strip mall closes, the anchor shop moves out of the strip mall, we've had difficulties there. So those are the partners that we haven't always been able to get signatures with.
And have we ever engaged in any kind of outreach with the CHEO or the hospital, the general hospital campus?
Sorry, short answer, yes. Neighborhood services kind of operate in parallel to things like the spots in the schedule that we reserve for other regular activities. So when we visit, Myra mentioned, I think, congregate living, family shelters, and other locations. CHEO would be one of those locations that we would visit maybe seasonally, not on a weekly basis, not for a public neighborhood stop. So it wouldn't be run through those criteria. It would be a stop for the clients of that facility only, yes.
Great. Thank you.
Any further questions? Just looking online. Okay, seeing no more. Is this item received and carried?
Carried.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next held item. Thank you very much to staff for your work. Just giving staff an opportunity to change over for those online. Just a moment. Next item on our agenda is item 10.5, the Intellectual Freedom Annual 2025 Challenges. The report author is Alexandra Yara. I'll turn things over to Sonia for opening remarks, and then to Sarah McIntyre, our Division Manager, Client Services, and Alexandra Yara, our Program Manager, Board and Strategic Services, for the presentation. If you want to take a moment to have a glass of water after that really long one, Alex, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Alex,
I just want to note that Trustee Crawford, you have your hand up in Zoom. I just want to make sure there wasn't something we missed.
a legacy
That's okay.
hand?
Sorry,
yeah,
that's
it's an old hand.
very 2020 of me.
It's okay. At least it's not hot mic. So,
If I could just start, Alex.
Yeah.
Just thank you, everyone, for your attention on this report this evening. Of course, intellectual freedom being something that is close to heart. Sarah is actually wearing the T-shirt tonight, so we're very glad to be able to present this to you this evening. Look forward to your questions following the presentation. So I will hand it, Alex. You're starting this one. Vas-y.
Thank you, Sonia. Sarah et moi, nous sommes ici pour résumer les contestations relatives à la liberté intellectuelle reçues par la BPO l'an dernier, so 2025. Sarah and I will summarize for you the challenges. Next slide, prochaine diapo. As you know, we define intellectual freedom, sometimes we say IF, as the free and open exchange of lawful information and ideas in a democratic society, respecting individual rights to privacy and choice. L'énoncé d'opposition sur la liberté intellectuelle du Conseil exprime une volonté ferme à l'égard de l'accès équitable et de la liberté d'expression et repose sur le cadre de gestion de contenu ainsi que sur un ensemble de politiques administratives. In June 2025, the board approved the, apologies. This year, 2026, my eyes froze for a second, is the 6th year that OPL has reported to the board about annual challenges and the first year that we're reporting on challenges in all service areas for 2025. OPL defines a challenge as an attempt to remove or restrict access to resources based on the objections of an individual or group about the views or opinions contained in that resource. A challenge is formal when a client fills out a request for reconsideration. Je passe maintenant la parole à ma collègue Sarah, qui nous parlera des tendances dans les contestations des dernières années et donnera des précisions sur celles de 2025, which are found in document 1. Next slide. Thank you, Alex. I'm just going to wait for the slide to change. There it is. Look at that graph. Okay, so this graph shows how many requests for reconsideration OPL has received over the last 10 years. OPL regularly submits challenges and correspondence to the publicly available Centre for Free Expression Library Challenges database at Toronto Metropolitan University. And so, as a reminder, staff will continue to track challenges of intellectual freedom at OPL and will provide the next update to the board in February 2027. Next slide, prochaine diapo. All right, so you can see here a summary of specific items challenged last year, and you can see the actual list in document 1 attached to the report. In 2025, we received 6 collection challenges, 4 for items in the children's collection, 1 for an item in the teen collection, and 1 for an item in the adult collection. Client concerns, in their own words, were material that distorts history and encourages anti-Zionism, material that provides incitement to hatred against Israel, age-inappropriate material, and misrepresentative content. Clients asked us to either relocate or remove the items, and in 2025, in all instances, the items were retained in the existing collection area after staff review was complete. Over to you, Alex. Thanks, Sarah. So 5 challenges in 2025 were for a meeting room rental event in February, a screening of the film Adult Human Female, which included a presentation about women's rights and subsequent group discussion hosted by Women's Rights Matter Ottawa. Client concerns included that the event promoted discrimination against and potentially libelous assertions regarding transgender people, and that it promoted hate speech and/or rhetoric that could incite hate or violence. Clients requested a public apology by OPL, staff training, and/or a change to policies and practices in their request for reconsideration. As a final note, no challenges were received in 2025 for art exhibits, library programs, notice board postings, or library displays. We also heard from clients by email, phone, or voicemail about concerns related to materials or services. Again, similar to formal challenges, people sometimes ask us to take specific actions, like removing or restricting access to a particular service, a meeting room rental, or a specific item in the collection, and sometimes they did not. In 2025, we received 80 pieces of correspondence. Of those, 49 were about the meeting room rental in February, coming from 46 individuals and 3 groups. Another 31 messages were about a meeting room rental in August for a roundtable discussion about Palestine. These came from 30 individuals and 1 organization. Our responses to these messages generally focus on 3 elements: reinforcing the importance of free expression at OPL, acknowledging the person's views and concerns, and explaining the rationale behind our decision. And when someone is asking us to take a specific action, we also point them to a formal request, to the formal request for reconsideration process in case they want to submit that. It's worth noting that for the 2 events, both the formal and informal challenges, many clients contacted us just before, on the day of, or right after the event in question. Because of that timing, people often didn't submit a formal reconsideration request or ask necessarily for the same type of action. They might have had the event already not been imminent or in some cases finished. Finally, you'll see in 2025, staff reported 3 informal incidents involving materials that had been interfered with by clients in a way that suggested intent to suppress a particular perspective. Next slide, prochaine diapo, s'il vous plaît. As the chair mentioned earlier this evening, Freedom to Read Week takes place from February 22nd to 28th, and we have some fantastic programs planned that he has already highlighted. I know many of you are excited to hear from Randy, whose thoughts about the importance of free expression have appeared in Toronto Life, the Globe and Mail, and other publications. Someone's calling to ask you to get tickets to Randy Boyagoda. Randy's concept of thinking out loud together describes and encourages the core practice of genuine civil discourse, including engaging openly with disagreement, seeing disagreement as productive and not destructive, and admitting we may be wrong, approaching with empathy and curiosity. Should be a great talk. We're also offering some popular activities from previous years, including bookmarks, branch displays, and book list. Since this is the 2nd time we're doing it, I'm going to call it a tradition. As is our tradition, we're going to close out with our favorite recently banned book. I feel like this is backwards in our notes. Sarah, would you like to start us off?
I'm going to start us off. And in fact, I haven't recently read a banned book. However, I did recently read a book called Everything is Tuberculosis, which is a book about tuberculosis. And the reason I've selected it here today is because the author, John Green, regularly shows up on challenged book lists because his YA novel, Looking for Alaska, is a frequent challenge, especially in school boards, but also in public libraries. So that's what I've read recently, Alex.
Thanks, Sarah. As you all know, I usually read dark and sad, serious fiction, but last summer I decided to take a break and find out what the fuss was about, Carly Fortune. I really enjoyed This Summer Will Be Different, which is set in PEI, and I recently found out that one of her other novels, Meet Me at the Lake, has been removed from some school libraries. Prochaine diapo, next slide. We'd be happy now to take questions, Chair, regarding tonight's report and presentation.
Trustee Crawford.
I am always really happy to see overall there are very few complaints, and people tend to only write in or connect with institutions when they're angry. So overall, I think that's a really good reflection on our collection. And just as someone who, when things were getting very difficult relating to the situation in the Middle East, I remember coming forward and suggesting, because I had difficulty finding some books, especially in the children's section, that were actually not from the 80s, and the 90s. It was really great to see that some of the books have turned up and the controversies come with it. But I mean, it's really nice to see some newer books in that selection. And I think it's all the actions that were taken are great. Thank you.
It is wonderful to see the operationalization of this policy, and I know that some people may feel disappointed in the decisions that were that have been made. I don't think some people may feel that their opinions aren't reflected in the decisions that were made. It's important that we are pointing to this intellectual freedom policy to understand that it protects everyone. And as we mentioned earlier during this meeting, that we feel that it is our role to contribute to civil discourse. And this is a wonderful opportunity to have these conversations. So truly appreciate the work that staff have done. I realize that these decisions are difficult, both for the public that are coming forward and raising their concerns, but also for the staff members that need to uphold a policy. Each of us has our own personal opinions on things like world events, on people, but at the same time, we have to realize that that is not necessarily the viewpoint of absolutely everyone. And so I can understand why there's quite a bit of friction here. And I just want to commend staff for sticking with the policy and for doing an excellent job defending intellectual freedom here in Ottawa. Thank you. Is this item received?
Received.
Our next item is item 10.6, the impact study. The report author is Anna Basile, who will be joining us to answer questions all by her lonesome with no backup. But first, what's that? You got this. Before we turn it over to Sonia, to Anna, I'll turn things over to Sonia for opening remarks, and then over to Anna Basile, our Deputy CEO and Division Manager, Corporate Services. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Trustee Crawford, you might remember we had a conversation about a social impact study that Toronto Public Library had undertaken, and you attended a presentation a year ago at the Ontario Library Association conference. And Vice Chair Fisher, you might remember a few days ago attending a presentation at the Ontario Library Association conference in which I presented on Ottawa Public Library's impact study in relationship to a national study undertaken by the Canadian Urban Library Council. So I'm very glad to see this work that had obviously engaged some members of the board a year ago now come for presentation before us. And I'll turn it over to Anna, and we are both happy to answer your questions following the presentation.
Yes, along with our other colleagues who I'm sure will have wonderful insights into this for your questions. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a thing happening here on my screen. Please bear with me. Thank you. So good evening. While public libraries are generally viewed as vital institutions and hubs for all, libraries, including Ottawa Public Library, face challenges in describing and quantifying the impact of our work beyond statistics. So I am pleased to be here this evening to share with you details and results of our first ever impact study. Je suis heureux de partager avec vous les détails et les résultats de notre première étude d'impact. Merci à l'Association des Amis de la Bibliothèque publique d'Ottawa pour leur soutien financier. I want to start by expressing our appreciation to the Friends of the Ottawa Public Library Association for their generous support in funding this research. Prochaine diapo, s'il vous plaît. Merci. As you know, over the past 5 years, Ottawa Public Library has undertaken several activities intended to underpin service delivery and commitments to clients. Specifically, this included the development of a service delivery framework and associated service strategies and a new brand. As part of the service delivery framework, we developed service strategies for each service category: collections, expertise, programs, spaces, and tools. And we identified outcomes associated with each of these services. Outcomes that we are committed to achieving based on client needs and expectations. In addition to the work on outcomes, and based on extensive public research that identified client perceptions, awareness, and sentiment of OPL, we developed a new brand intended to more effectively demonstrate the value of the library. Early last year, inspired by the work at Toronto Public Library, the Canadian Urban Libraries Council initiated a study to measure the impact of public libraries. Next slide, please. At Ottawa Public Library, we were eager to be involved in the study in order to establish a point-in-time measurement for service impact for the service delivery framework and the service strategies. The impact study is intended to complement OPL's economic value study, first completed in 2016, by providing a method to understand the role the library plays in the community and to assign value to that impact. The CULC Impact Study provided a measurable framework for understanding and demonstrating impact. It placed the individual at the heart of the assessment to describe and quantify meaningful impact across 4 dimensions and 12 parameters. The study moves beyond traditional economic reporting metrics, such as the number of books borrowed, and instead focuses on capturing how public libraries provide emotional, intellectual, creative, and social value. Focusing on personal outcomes, it then translates public library services into real-world value for individuals and the Ottawa community. Next slide, please. Led by the Canadian Urban Libraries Council, the methodology was based on a similar study conducted for Toronto Public Library in 2023. It was, however, adapted to be feasible across a number of library systems at once. I'll note that the same conditions and caveats apply as would apply to any conventional client satisfaction survey or any sort of similar market research. Working with 2 Danish companies, CULC coordinated the participation of 26 member libraries, including most large urban systems. The study took place in May and June of 2025 and included both a local component and a national component. For the local component, questionnaires were sent to 885 clients, along with 195 non-clients. In addition, we conducted 6 interviews, not us, sorry, the consultants. For the national data set, that data is comprised from multiple different sources, each collected by different means. The panel-based collection represents a sample of Canadian library clients and non-clients, excluding Toronto, with representative quotas at the regional level. Individual libraries are not involved in this part of the data collection. The library self-collection component had each participating library share the survey link through their own internal or external communication channels in order to collect more responses from their own clients. Included in the report are the national results and a comparison between OPL and the overall national results. You will or you may hear that other library systems are releasing their results. We caution you not to compare. The study is not intended to be comparative, as it does not account for differences in governance, structure, budgets, staffing model, or collective agreements. Next slide, please. Pour chaque secteur de service, Pour chaque secteur de service, il y a les dimensions et aussi les paramètres. For each service area, impact is measured along 4 dimensions: creative, emotional, intellectual, and social. Sorry, I think I've missed a slide. My apologies.
Why don't I take this slide on?
No, I've missed, it's my notes. I'm reading something different. My apologies. I went a little too far in my own notes. I will go back. The study was designed across 4 service lines, which align with OPL service categories: collections, expertise, programs, and spaces. L'étude portait sur 4 secteurs de service: collection, expertise, programs, et espaces. I note that at Ottawa Public Library, we have a 5th category, tools, that contains components that are captured in some of these other categories. So for instance, we have creative technology equipment in the Imagine space, or we have programs that perhaps use STEM kits. As this study was undertaken as part of a national initiative, the types of tools and ways of describing them varied across library systems involved. And as such, the assessment tool best reflects the common elements of library service offerings across the board. While the impact study considers each category individually, it's important to recognize that services are mutually reinforcing, and in some cases, more directly evident than others. For example, we know that there is a strong connection between program participation and collection usage, just as there's a connection between programs and the expertise required to design, develop, and deliver those programs. Next slide, please. Here we go. Pour chaque secteur de service, il y a dimensions et aussi les paramètres. For each service area, impact is measured along 4 dimensions: creative, emotional, intellectual, and social. Each dimension then has 3 identified parameters designed to capture different aspects of the library experience. The results are reported in the form of an impact profile that scores impact on a scale of 0 to 5. These scores represent the presence or absence of positive impact. A low score does not imply a negative impact. Rather, it indicates that clients have not experienced that type of impact. It's also important to not overinterpret small differences in impact scores. The consultants caution that while 2 parameters being 0.1 points apart may be a statistically significant difference, it is not practically meaningful. Next slide, please. Over the next few slides, I'll walk you through the overall results. Next slide, please, Sam. Dans l'ensemble, La BPO a un profil d'impact complète, ayant obtenu des résultats probants dans les dimensions émotionnelles, intellectuelles, créatives et sociales. Overall, OPL exhibits a well-rounded impact profile with demonstrated emotional, intellectual, creative, and social impact. The highest impact scores are seen in intellectual and emotional dimensions, and you'll see that knowledge and well-being are the two parameters that stand out most. The social dimension generally scores lower overall. However, collections do stand out as inspiring empathy through insights into the lives of others. Next slide, please. You'll see that programs are the least used service category, attended by 19% of clients. Programmes est la catégorie des services la moins utilisée. Mais pour ceux qui l'utilisent, l'impact est très grand dans les 4 dimensions. And while only 19% have had the chance to attend programs in the past year, even more clients, that is 33%, find them relevant. Next slide, please. Although not all Ottawa residents engage with the local library, a large majority of both clients and non-clients find the library to play an important role. Une majorité de clients et non-clients jugent que la bibliothèque joue un rôle important dans la ville. In fact, 72% of non-clients agree that a public library is one of the most valuable resources a city can offer its community. And much like the findings in the brand strategy research, it was found that non-use of library services does not stem from a dislike of the library. The results simply indicate that non-clients are focused on other things or they get their needs filled elsewhere. Next slide, please. So we'll first look at who responded and what services are used by those who participated in the study. As I mentioned, OPL had more than 1,000 responses, of which more than 800 came from clients and more than 100 came from non-clients. In total, 97% of clients have borrowed books or accessed online resources from OPL within the past year. This information very much aligns with the information that we heard in our brand research. 55% of clients have visited OPL spaces in the past year, and that may have been to read, study, work, socialize, entertain children, relax, or seek shelter. As I mentioned earlier, 19% of clients have attended library programs in the past year. And 69% of clients indicated that they have received guidance from library employees in the past year. That may have been with help with accessing materials or perhaps technical support. Next slide, please. I'm going to spend a few minutes going through the results of each impact profile. And I'll start by providing you with a visual of the compass that was used just to be able to illustrate the results. Next slide, please. You'll find this visual within the full report, both for the overall impact and the impact for each service. OPL's overall average is 3.1, which reflects a well-rounded profile. Without getting into the details, you'll see that the impact profile has 4 quadrants, one for each dimension identified in the different colors. You will also see that there is a slice of each quadrant, which represents each parameter. There is also a dotted line, might be a little faint on this, there is a dotted line that is intended to illustrate the average. To help place the results, you can see that parameters land below or above the dotted line average. For OPL's overall impact, most parameters have a score that is at the average, which is the dotted line. In fact, in only 3 areas do the results fall below 3. As mentioned earlier, a note of caution when it comes to reviewing the results. It's important that we do not overinterpret small differences in impact scores. With that, We'll move over to the next few slides where I'll walk through specific impact profile results without the visual. And the details are available in the full report, which is interspersed with quotes from clients. So we'll start first with, next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. We'll start first with collections. The intended outcome of the collection service strategy is that OPL's collection provides a foundation for language acquisition and for cultivating the joy of reading, lifelong learning, and discovery. With a profile average of 3.4, this service scores at the higher end of the range. Clients generally experience the greatest impact along the emotional and intellectual dimensions, with the knowledge parameter scoring the highest at 3.9. It is worth noting that on the social dimension, collections stand out as inspiring empathy by offering insights into the lives of others. These results are not surprising considering the library's mandate and literacy focus. They're also consistent with information found in the brand strategy, which identified books as the mainstay of library services, and support continued investment in collections, validating the board's recent financial commitment. Next slide, please. The Spaces service strategy aims to offer welcoming environments for learning, leisure, and connection. Based on 477 respondents, Spaces received an average of 3.1, scoring in the middle of the range. Much like collections, clients generally experience the greatest impact along the emotional and intellectual dimensions. In this case, however, well-being is the parameter that scores the highest. In terms of social impact, Spaces are perceived to have a relatively strong impact. We know that public libraries increasingly serve as essential third spaces. A little bit of homage to our logo here. And that is that they are welcoming environments that support social connection and personal well-being. OPL's commitment to creating flexible, inclusive, and welcoming spaces positions us to be a leader in supporting community wellness. Within the creative dimension, OPL spaces are perceived to inspire clients to try new things, which may be reflective not only of the design and the layout of the spaces, but the resources within. These can range from resources in defined spaces, such as the Imagine space, to low-tech tools, and equipment to collection displays. Next slide, please. The program service strategy identifies the intended outcome of this category as OPL's programs nurture a love of reading and provide opportunities to exercise creativity, build skills, and foster social connections. With a profile average of 3.5, this service scores at the higher end of the range, noting that it is based on the lowest number of respondents. As mentioned earlier, while programs are used by fewer clients than other services, those who do participate experience all-round higher levels of impact across the 4 dimensions. In fact, there were no scores lower than 3.4, making this the highest profile average. Unlike other service pillars, it is the social dimension that sees the greatest impact. While some programs offer opportunities for interactivity and time to engage with others, they also create opportunities for social connection and discussion. In addition, the results may reflect that simply being surrounded by others engaged in the same activity, such as listening to an author, enhances perception of social connection and drives impact. With respect to the creative dimension, it is programs that has the most impact, underscoring the breadth of OPL's offerings, many of which are experiential in design. I want to remind you that while 1/5 of respondents indicated that they participate in programs, more than 1/3 indicated that programs are relevant to the community being served. Ottawa Public Library is undertaking several actions to increase participation, things like simplifying registration, improving program discoverability, and designing and evaluating programs in a way that fosters connection. However, as participation grows, it's important that we ensure that we maintain this program quality and we preserve the depth of experience that drives the strong impact scores in this area. Next slide, please. It's a bit of a delay online. Okay. In the expertise service strategy, the expected outcome is to ensure that OPL expertise facilitates access to knowledge and connects clients to services in a welcoming and inclusive manner. With a profile average of 2.7, this service scores at the lower end of the range, noting that this is based on 3/4 of total respondents. That is, a little more than 600 clients indicated that they sought staff support in the past year. Much like collections and spaces, clients generally experience the greatest impact in the emotional and intellectual dimensions, with the knowledge parameters scoring the highest, followed closely by well-being. While expertise received the lowest profile average score, the significant peaks in knowledge and well-being are indicative of the core support provided this service, in alignment with the library's mandate and the intended service outcome. Again, the result is not reflective of a negative impact. It reflects the extent to which the service is perceived to result in a positive impact. And while the study did not dive deep into the reasoning behind client responses, it's important to note that fewer clients indicated that they sought staff support. This may be reflective of Ottawa demographics and client usage patterns, signaling a higher level of independence and less need or reliance on employees to help meet their service needs. The new brand, launched just last month, creates an opportunity to increase the visibility of staff expertise using human-centered stories. In addition, our emphasis on strengthening internal culture and developing a more consistent approach to client interactions aligns with emerging best practices across the library sector. Next slide, please. For the YouTube slide, thank you. The results of the impact study serve as a point-in-time measurement of service impact for the service delivery framework and the service strategy outcomes. We hope that these results will support local and national conversations about the importance of public libraries. The alignment with and validation of previous research undertaken by Ottawa Public Library is clear, and the data provides common language and quantifiable impact stories that can help us demonstrate the value of OPL. These results provide us with additional quantitative support for our current directions, including collections as a core driver of value, enhancing program access and participation, and elevating spaces for well-being and belonging. In addition to other purposes, the data from this impact study will be used to support staff and the board in advocating for library funding, creating community partnerships, and demonstrating how the library complements city services and contributes to broader municipal objectives. Thank you for your time. We can move to the next slide. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to any questions that you may have, and look to my colleagues who may also want to respond, as this was a collaborative effort on all of our parts.
Anna, I really appreciated this report and presentation very much. Libraries are really good at defining what we're not. Really, really good at it. We're not retail. We're not simply a quiet warehouse for books. We're not relics of a pre-digital age. And while those clarifications matter, they really only tell part of the story. And this report tells the rest of that story. What this impact study asks us to do is the more important part. It asks us to clearly and confidently describe what libraries actually do and what we do exceptionally well. And at the heart of it, libraries democratize information. And if you want to learn, search for work, build a skill, help your kids with reading, start something new, or understand your community and your government, you should be able to do that without a credit cards, without insider connections, and without feeling like you don't belong. And that's what the library does. We take barriers down. Libraries are infrastructure, and they're social infrastructure. And we are places where people come to learn, connect, stabilize, and imagine a future that's a little wider than the present. And we're not passive about it. Libraries reduce the pressure on other public systems. We support early literacy before challenges become entrenched. We help newcomers navigate language, employment, and civic life. We help give students, seniors, families, and entrepreneurs access to tools and trusted guidance that they might not otherwise have, because the world is a really noisy place and information is everywhere. But trustworthy information is not evenly available. Being able to find it, evaluate it, and use it is a real form of power. And libraries give that power away for free to everyone. And that's why I often describe libraries as the last truly democratic space. You can walk in with nothing and leave with something that changes your life. Sometimes it's a book, and sometimes it's a new skill. Sometimes it's help with a form or a resume, or simply a welcoming place that makes you feel a little bit less alone. This impact study helps us to tell that story with evidence and with confidence. And it shows us that the impact of libraries is cumulative. A story time today becomes a confident reader tomorrow. A conversation, a workshop, or access to the right tools becomes an opportunity. So yeah, we should still be able to say what libraries are not, but we need to get better and louder about what libraries are. Hopefully not as loud as the pants in that 1950s bookmobile photo that we saw in the previous presentation. We are the democratization of information in action, and we are access, equity, opportunity, and community delivered every day in every neighborhood in the city. And it's wonderful to be able to put that to words finally. So well done. Good work to the entire team that helped to put this together. Thank you. Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kudos to Anna and to all of the Alex, to all the people who put all these incredible efforts into it. All I can add is that our libraries are public squares for democracy. We hear that word used over and over, and it may be the last vestige of our democracy, but it is one of the pillars of our society. So kudos to keep going, and we look forward to the near future.
Trustee King?
Thank you so much, Chair. And I just wanted to echo some of your comments and the comments of our colleagues around this study. You know, we often talk about library value in terms of circulation numbers or visits, but this study captures something deeper, the actual human impact of library services. And so I think that this is powerful evidence of why libraries matter beyond the transactional. While our 2016 economic study showed a $4.30 return per dollar invested, this impact study captures things that don't fit in economic models: inspiration, empathy, belonging, and well-being. And these are essential civic goods that libraries uniquely provide. I hope staff will be able to use these findings strategically, and it sounds that is their objective, both for budget advocacy and service improvement. I know that when we go to council with budget asks, this evidence of real impact on people's lives is compelling in conjunction with the economic value that the library creates for all residents. So I really wanted to thank Friends of OPL for funding this study. I think this is exactly the kind of investment that helps the library demonstrate its value and improve services. And it's also recognition that measuring impact requires resources beyond operational budgets. So I wanted to thank Friends of OPL for the funding and thank staff for this excellent report that they have provided to the board.
Thanks, Trustee King. Trustee Crawford?
Yeah, I want to echo that part about the funding from the Friends of the Ottawa Public Library, because this is a really important investment that is valuable to the councillors, of course, but also in terms of fundraising, making connections with new partners. I just feel that this is something that, perhaps every generation or something, it's something that we continue to do because it's a great way also by reaching out to everyone during the study, you've, enhanced their interest and expanded their knowledge as well, and they speak to others. So congratulations on a really great job. Well done.
Vice Chair?
I echo all those comments, but I also wanted to thank Sonia, our CEO and Chief Librarian, for having made the connection with the broader folks at Culk and recognizing the value prospect of this work. And to be able to participate, I think that is crucial. The fact that we are not only in Ottawa, but we're able to sort of communicate those key messages across the country is valuable, and I like the fact that we're able to use those key messages in many of the things going forward as we go forward, even as we like with That Is Okay. When we are promoting Adisoke, we're able to sort of really articulate the value and what this is going to mean. So this leads me to my question of frequency, because this is a study made at a point in time, and it's linked to our service development frameworks. And so, when do we feel that it would be an appropriate time to do this impact study in the future?
I was hoping that someone would ask that question. And if not, I was going to volunteer the following, which is one of the things that we would like to do. As you know, we are reviewing our performance measurement framework. That is something that we are looking at holistically in the KPIs. And one of the things that we are looking to explore, is the frequency of this as a measurement as part of that performance measurement framework. So what are the things that we have committed to doing, and how do we track those and build those into the performance measurement framework? And so maybe it's not every year, but maybe it's twice per term. But as part of our overall PMF report, we're going to explore that frequency in order to be able to provide, to what you've all said, not just the economic or those aspects, which we can produce on an annual basis, but how do we measure this type of impact? Perhaps annual is a little too much. Maybe we'll look at something, a slightly different frequency. And then, of course, the question comes to funding it and building that into our ongoing repertoire. So these are one of the things that we're currently taking away right now, and we'll consider as part of that broader framework.
If I could just thank you for thanking me, that's very kind, but I need to thank all of staff for their patience, because when I said, you know what, we're going to do this social impact study thing, it had not been predicted on the work plan. And I really appreciate their agreement that this is an important piece of work. I appreciate that the board supports it as well. And I thank them all for their patience and forbearance with that.
Trustee Slack?
Mr. Chair, prior to my previous comments, I always give the kudos to the staff, but I've forgotten to mention our CEO. Without her and all the transformational changes that she's brought since her arrival, so kudos to Madame as well.
Any further comments or questions from the board? We're so truly lucky to have the Friends of the Ottawa Public Library and their support. Oftentimes, every time I'm in a branch, I stop in and check out either the bookstore or the shelves that are there. There's a presence in every branch, and we just appreciate so much the work that they do, the volunteer hours that they pour into making sure that we're able to deliver these programs that may sometimes fall out of the work plan, but also, at the same time, really contribute to our mandate. Things that we otherwise wouldn't be able to do ourselves or pay for ourselves. We appreciate you so much, all of the volunteers working with FOPLA. So thank you. Good job, everyone. Is this item received?
Received.
Okay, we'll now be moving in camera or closed session. Vice Chair Fisher, would you please read the motion to move in camera?
Be it resolved that the Ottawa Public Library Board resolve in camera pursuant to 16.14D of the Public Libraries Act, as the subject matter relates to labor relations or employee negotiations, to receive a confidential update on labor relations. No, that's not the right one. That's the 23 on page 29.
You can start with
As the subject matter relates to personal matters about an identifiable individual, to receive a confidential presentation on the CEO, Chief Librarian's 2025 performance, which will not be reported out.
Is this item carried?
Carried.
Wonderful.
Carried.
In-camera and closed sessions, social session items are not subject to public discussion or audience. So the in-camera closed session item is restricted to board members and Sonia Bebbington, our CEOCL. All other in-person participants and those in the public gallery must now leave the room. A reminder to take all of your belongings with you. If there is. Trustee King, we're going to take a quick pause so that those members attending virtually can leave this meeting and join the other one. If you have trouble with the link, Trustee King, just shoot me a text, okay? And we'll get that sent over to you so you're good to go. The moderator will advise attendees when the in-camera closed session is concluded and the board re-enters the Zoom meeting. Following the in-camera closed session portion of this meeting, the board will resume an open session to conclude the meeting. So for all those, the dozens and dozens of you joining us on YouTube right now, just hang tight and we'll be back in a few moments. Thank you. So if you're on Zoom here in the room, just close that session.
Just waiting for Remy to catch up with us for sound. Still waiting. Just give me one more sec. But maybe while Rami's clicking 800 things at the same time, I just want to note that he clicked 7,000 more things than he usually does tonight, and we all live to tell the tale. So he's been pretty much running 7 PowerPoints up there. We'd be lost, literally. Ain't no use to sit and wonder why, babe. It was just a little Bob Dylan for Shruti to see if she can hear me. Shruti. Maybe I'm on the dark side of the moon. Still waiting. I'm getting mixed reports, so just give me one more sec. I got a thumbs up and then a thumbs down. So I'm just going to keep talking into the void until we can tell if our virtual attendees can hear us. I think Ralston just sent us a thumbs up and it is much appreciated. Okay, I'm going to just do one more check with our folks listening at home. Perhaps if Trustee King is listening, he can let us know. And I'm going to ask my colleague who's listening at home, Shruti, just one more time. Can you hear me? Please say yes.
Definitely can hear you.
Thanks, Ralston.
Thanks, Ruthie. Please let the record show that the board went in camera and closed session. The matter dealt with included the CEO, Chief Librarian's 2025 performance review. The specific details of this item cannot be reported out for reasons stated previously. No votes were taken and no decision was made in camera. We do have one motion. You good? Vice Chair Fisher, please read the motion.
That the Ottawa Public Library Board approve the 2025 CEO Chief Librarian's performance rating identified in the closed session and forward it to the City of Ottawa's Human Resources Department to be included in the CEO Chief Librarian's personnel file.
Is that motion carried?
Carried.
Let's finalize the meeting. Do we have any notices of motion? Do we have any inquiries? Do we have any other business? I gotta do one, Jess. I know you really want to go home. I gotta do one at least, Okay, fine. What are you reading, Jess?
I am reading a book called Greenwich Park that I picked up from the Greenboro Library branch. I do not remember the author off the top of my head. I'm in a big sprint of all kinds of whodunit books. So I read 13 books last year, and that is all because of the influence of the library board and me being here, all from the public library. So
wonderful. And just to end it off, then I'll share that I discovered a new author by the name of Darcy Coates. I'm reading a book right now called The Haunting of Ashburn House, and I find it to be absolutely wonderful. An author that was suggested to me. I'm grateful for the suggestion by the algorithm, and it's a very, very good book. Darcy Coates, it's spine chilling. I really enjoy it. I won't ask anyone else because we've been here for so long, and that's for I'll get you next time. Before do we be remiss not to cap the results of the critical board member and senior staff vote regarding their favorite and least favorite holiday movies, which was part of questionnaire. Elf was voted the favorite holiday movie by 8 enthusiastic participants, followed closely by Miracle on 34th Street. A Christmas Carol and Love Actually proved to be the most divisive choices, with strong votes both for and against these films. They're both good. I don't know what I don't know. Recognizing that it's now almost Valentine's Day, I encourage you to borrow Love Actually, which could potentially be considered relevant this week or not. But I mean, of course, that's a great Canadian love story as well. Of course, you can also borrow other great films any time of year from the OPL DVD and streaming collections. Okay, I'll put you out of your misery. Thanks so much. Please note the next board meeting date is Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much for your patience and for your participation. And again, thank you to all of our OPL employees. You're the reason why this system